Hi guys, welcome back to the Cow Family Homestead. So today is what I think may be our last house building update. We have had a lot of things going on and coming together here the last couple weeks, more than actually we've ever had at once over the past 13, 14 months, which is really awesome. Um, so there isn't a whole lot left to do other than really small detail work, plumbing work, and really the final walkthrough of the house. So I do believe today might be the last one.
So it's been really nice to see all these things happening and really seeing the house come together. One of the things that they did was our septic tank. So I wasn't there for that, but you got to see that happen.
Yeah, so the actual process from start to finish was, 4 or 5 hours. But, along with a lot of other things with home, when you build a home, there was an issue when the septic tank went in. So the issue was
Nothing can go smoothly.
right, never. So I guess when they laid the foundation and the concrete pad, the plumber, when he came out and set all the plumbing and stuff, the rough in, that he set the septic pipe that was exiting the house, he set it 18 inches lower than what was normally needed. So when the folks came out to set up the septic tank, the area we had chosen when we laid out the house originally was at maybe at a 7 or 8 degree incline behind the house. So when you add the incline to the 18 inches below where the pipe was supposed to be, it was really going uphill. And we all know what happens when poop flows uphill, right? It just doesn't work. So in order for that original plan to take place, we would have had to had a pump station. And from what I know about pump stations and what I've read in the past, they're troublesome to say the least. So that was something I wasn't really wanting to do. So on the fly, we had to find another place to put our septic, and there wasn't a whole lot of choices at this stage in the game. We had the house to the right, to the left we have our propane and our generator. In the back is where originally it was going to go. So really the only option we had left was in the front yard. We had planned on doing a turnaround driveway, and it just kind of interrupted our flow and our future plans. Not a big deal, we can deal with it. But to make a longer story, not this long, they had to put it in our front yard. So that's where we ended up putting a septic.
But we had plans of thinning up that part of the property anyway when it comes to the trees. So it's not a terrible place for it. It just was something that didn't go 100% as planned, but no
Yeah.
big deal.
So what are some other things that happened this week? You remember? Or not this week, but over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah. Well, we see. I wasn't there for all these things, but the generator was installed. It was important to us to have a whole house generator backup because we are so far out there in the woods. When hurricanes come through and when we do lose power, we tend to lose power for a significant amount of time. And of course, out here, when you lose power, you also lose water. So it's very important. It was really important to both of us to have that. So they did install that.
Yeah, so they put in a 22 kW, and for some reason in my mind I thought it was going to be a 24 kW. So when they were putting it in, I asked them, is that supposed to be a 22? So they looked it up, and sure enough, it was a 22 on our contract, on our build plan. So I don't know where in my head I got 24. It's okay. A 22 still will run a 3 to 4,000 square foot house. I would have loved to have that, extra power, but a 22 will completely run our house just fine. But that was installed, and we were really happy to have, that creature comfort and backup plan if power ever does go out.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that we've been up to lately is we hired someone to come out and install a paver patio for us on the back. Now, interestingly, when they laid the concrete for this house, they missed something basically on the.
They missed a step off of the utility room door.
Yeah, and apparently that's code, right?
Yeah, they have to have something when you exit the house. There has to be a pad or concrete or some kind of stepping off when you come out of the house.
Yep. And so because they forgot that, there were going to be some kind of temporary workarounds, and we said, you know what, we want a patio anyway, so let's just go ahead and find somebody to install us a patio. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful patio. We love the color. And then the wonderful thing about it is there's a big long sidewalk or pathway that goes from the back patio to the barn. And in some of our previous videos, we talked about our barn and how a third of that barn is going to function as an outdoor kitchen. So it's really helpful for us to have a nice little walkway to get from A to B, especially when we are out there smoking meats or cooking outside.
Yeah, so touching back on the guys who did the patio paver walkway, and that, she likes to be Mrs. Positive, which is awesome. This is why we make a great pair. I like to be Mr. Negative and keep it real. When the guys did the patio, they didn't use a wet saw. They used just a straight up chop saw with a concrete blade on it. And I didn't catch it in time, unfortunately, but when they were cutting the paver stones to make our walkway and stuff, they were cutting it right next to our brand new screened in porch.
Never been lived in porch.
If you guys know where I'm going with this, it was a nightmare. So when they cut it, it was windy. All the Portland that came off of those concrete blocks went into dust form, and it all of it stuck to our nice brand new patio screen.
You really did. I forgot about that.
So when you looked at the patio screen, it was just a haze. Like it was terrible. So we thought it was ruined, and we did a little bit of research online, and obviously I just didn't want to spray it with water and have it hardened and have hardened,
make it worse,
concrete dust on the screen. So we spent a few hours, her and I, scrubbing this stupid screen with Dawn dish soap and a hand scrub brush, and scrubbed the entire patio screen, every square inch of it. It worked.
It works. It works. It looks great.
They did a good job with some minor bumps and hiccups along the way. So yeah, it's just me telling you that if you guys have jobs done like this, you got to keep an eye on them, man. You just do.
So ultimately, the backyard's going to be fenced in, which we have plans for that coming up soon.
Yeah, in the next week, we should have a fenced-in yard. Yeah.
Yep. And because of our dog, when we let him out back, especially at night, we wanted to make sure that he had a nice fenced-in area. So about 6 months ago, when did you plant that grass?
Oh, it was beginning of the summer.
So now we have half of a backyard with grass, which is actually great because it's pretty well established now. So when we do finally get moved in, at least we'll have half of a yard for Rick, for our dog.
So along with all that other stuff that was finished, we also had our countertops installed, which was really exciting because we were told from the very beginning that it would be 6 to 8 weeks from countertops until our move-in. We're not going by that timeline just because of every other timeline. Yeah. But we are excited that we are in the home stretch, and again, that's why I referenced that this may be our last update video. Right.
So first off, I know he's getting ready to go tell about the problems, but they look so beautiful.
They do. They look good.
The kitchen, we went with a quartz, and I mean, actually the kitchen with quartz, and I wanted white, but I didn't want it to be blinding white, so it has these little specks in it that kind of match the cupboards, the cabinets, and actually it matches very well. We went with granite in the guest bath and basically the other two bathrooms, and that looks great in there too. And then in our master bath, we went through, I think it's quartz, right? Isn't it quartz? I just remember it was 2 upcharges, so maybe it's not quartz.
I don't know. It looks like black leather.
Yeah, it's really pretty. So I will say that the countertops, not only are they gorgeous, but it really was cool because now we have sinks, and our sink is huge.
Probably a normal sink to everybody else.
It's probably normal. That's true. But just for us.
For us, it's a big sink. But for everybody else, you're like, yeah, it's just a sink there, Kyle Family Homestead.
That's true, actually. Yeah, you're probably right. Anyway, so you can go ahead with the problems.
It's not really a problem. I mean, well, it is, but it's, it is what it is. The actual island countertop was the incorrect size.
So it's supposed to be 4 foot by 8 foot.
Yeah, that's what's on our contract. That's what we talked about. That's what's on the build plans. And when I went in, I didn't notice it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks good. And she's like, it looks small. It does not look like what we picked. So we got a tape measure.
Looked off.
Yeah.
The 4 by 8, you would of course expect one side to be half of the other side, and the dimensions looked off. Now it's still a beautiful.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I didn't even. All I can think about is all the space I'll have for baking, and I'm looking forward to it. But definitely the dimensions were off. So we measured, and what was it? 30.
It was 30. It was supposed to be 48 by 8. It was 38 by 8. So when the guy came and did our template, he measured just beyond the end bookshelf we had, and he never bothered looking at the plans. And when he submitted the actual measurements to the builder signed off. So after all that being said, we called, the project manager, explained to him, hey, you need to take a look at this, and he says, yep, it was a screw up. We did end up keeping the 38 inch because of the time. It's already installed. It's installed, and the time it would take to come back out and measure, to cut it, install it. We're already at the end of our rope with the build of waiting and patience, so we're just keeping it. We're keeping it as is, and they're going to take care of us on the back end.
And it's still a significant size.
It looks fine.
It looks beautiful. It looks better than fine. It looks beautiful.
But once the scuffs get out, they'll look fine.
Yeah.
They started installing our cedar planking on the roof of our porch, and they're going to start wrapping the posts on the front of our porch this week.
Yeah.
So about a month and a half ago, sometime in September, beginning of September, we had a squirrel enter through the front of our porch and go into our attic.
Yeah.
And we came out one day and we heard him running around. We came out one day and there was insulation covered our porch, where he went in there and ripped all the insulation out, was making a nest, I assume. Fast forward 6-7 weeks later, the fella came out to put our cedar ceiling up, and I was telling him, hey, there was a squirrel in there at one point. I don't know if it's still in there. I haven't heard him in a while, and we haven't seen anything in a while, so we assumed the builder had taken care of it because we mentioned it to them. And the contractor put all the ceiling up. It looked amazing. I went and got my wife, and 2 hours later, I came back out, and there was a softball size hole chewed out of the corner of the wood on top of the ceiling. He literally chewed a giant hole through the cedar wood to get out of the roof.
It's still beautiful. It's still beautiful. That part will be fixed, and it's going to be fine.
But I was just like, oh, well, it was heartbreaking to see that.
But it is pretty. I will say that was, as I've said, this has been the theme since we finally are starting to make some progress, is we don't remember what we picked out. And especially this process, Mike wasn't very involved in it. He's not thrilled with the fact that I wanted a white house. So he was basically like, well, you do what you want. And so
not at all.
So we have so when we were picking out the stain, because the shutters, the door, the ceiling, and the posts are all going to be that color stain, I forgot. In fact, I thought it was more of a darker, like more of a blackish color in my head, because it's been so long. And when they started staining it, I felt like it was maybe too orange.
It was orange. It was orangey for sure.
Yeah, I was like, man, this isn't. I don't know, why did I pick this? But once it's installed and once it's right next to the white, it looks real sharp. It looks really good. So you can see our floors are done. In our last video, we mentioned it. We decided to go with a porcelain tile. Turned out really nice. So this is our dining room. And we got countertops delivered yesterday. The countertops are real pretty. You can kind of see there's a little bit of color in there. But there's our kitchen. So that'll be the refrigerator, the stove, obviously the sink, and we have more cabinets here. They did install the sink too. It's a really pretty sink. Kind of see, but it's a nice big deep sink. One thing too is our pantry. We did want to go with a bigger pantry, but we just didn't have it in our budget to go with unlimited. But these are super high ceiling, so we should be able to fit a whole bunch of stuff in there. And the sliding barn door is a really pretty door. And it matches actually everything really good, maybe a little too good. You can see our high window up there. There'll be a chandelier up there at some point, a rustic chandelier. And then here's our master bedroom. Obviously the tub isn't gonna stay there. The closet is to my right, and then here's the master bathroom. So far, my favorite thing is this shower. Isn't this gorgeous? Look at this tile. So there's the tile here, and then we have this great little shower bench, and the tile kind of ties it together. And then obviously the tub will go there eventually. And here's where the toilet's gonna be. A couple bedrooms. Another bedroom here. They did install some of the ceiling fans. And these two bedrooms are identical. Nice big wide closet. Here is another bedroom. Again with a ceiling fan. Got the closet. Here's where air conditioning is inside. And this is dark, but we have the guest bath, that's a half bath, where we are so far. And again, this is gonna be dark, but this is the full bath. Lots and lots of storage in there, and you can't really see this, but this is what they call a wet bath. So the toilet and the shower will all be in a wet area. And here is our living room. Looking forward to that ceiling fan to be hung because it's really a pretty ceiling fan. And then we switch over here to our back porch. And they were able to install a couple of the ceiling fans out there. From here you can see the sidewalk. It's all coming together now.
Yeah. So sorry we've been so long-winded, but we thought this update deserved some time because, you know, this has been a long process and some of you have been with us through the very beginning of this process. And we kind of wanted to make it a special one since it is our last update-ish video until we do the final walkthrough and show you the completion of the house. So we kind of wanted to spend a little bit more time on this and thank everybody for watching and following us on this journey. But until we see you guys on the final walk through the house, I think this is going to be it for the house review. So thank you guys for watching the Kyle Family Homestead, and we will see you guys soon. Bye.